There are times when my butt has been saved because the AMC was doing their job.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Today's episode is sponsored by, well, only the best software out there when it comes to appraisal report writing software. It is Alamode. Alamode.com, 800 Alamode. Datamaster. Datamaster is the software that you should be using if you want to save time on your reports, folks. I don't know how many times I've got to tell you. It's datamasterusa.com. Datamaster or Datamaster, if you're from up north, USA.com. Don't forget that. Datamaster or datamasterusa.com. And of course, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Working RE is the place I go to find out more about what I do. That's appraisal. WorkingRE.com. Working RE is in workingrealestate.com. I saw a post this morning that prompted this episode today. I want to talk a little bit about AMCs. Yeah, I know. We're going to talk about AMCs today. It's scary, horrible. Our lives are ending, AMCs. Folks, I've been doing work for AMCs for a very long time, long before they were popular. I say that tongue-in-cheek. I used to work for LSI. You remember them? Years ago. I think that was, I don't know if it was the original AMC, but it certainly was the original big AMC years and years and years ago, long before the crash. In fact, I think I was working for LSI probably early 2000s, if not the year 2000, maybe even earlier than that. I started appraising in 1996. And so I guess I've been working with AMCs for a long time. Now, I've been accused of a lot of things over the years. I'm going to try to set the record straight today, hopefully, a little bit. I can tell you that, you can think whatever you want of me, and that's fine. That's cool. I'm going to be completely straight with you today. I'm going to be honest with you today. Because I have received a lot of criticism over the years. Old Dustin Harris is just a shrill for the AMCs. I've literally been accused of that multiple times, that I'm in the back pocket of AMCs, that I'm not going to throw out any names, but typically names are associated with this. And of course, Dustin's going to say anything he can to support AMCs. Well, folks, I'm not a big fan of AMCs. I'm not. Yes, I've been doing work for them for a very long time. I would not call them a necessary evil, and I think you'll understand why at the end of this episode. But I want to talk a little bit about AMCs and their place in the world. I don't feel like a lot of you feel about AMCs, and it's because, if I dare say so, and I know this is going to sound cocky, but oh well, it's because I know a little bit about AMCs. It's because I know a little bit about what they do and their purpose. And I guess that's what I want to talk about today, is what does an AMC do? What's the purpose of an AMC? I have a feeling that you're going to change your mind a little bit when it comes to AMCs. Now, let me start with a premise. Let me start with a foundation. Let me start by telling you that there is some really well, I won't use the SH word, but there's some really crappy AMCs out there. I've done some work for some really crappy AMCs out there. Well, guess what? I treat them like any other client in my database. And you've heard me talk on this program before about my client list and how I deviate and how I delineate who is who. It's called the ABY method, and it basically says this. I've got A clients, and those A clients are the clients that I'm going to work my tail off for because I like them. They don't ask for much, and they pay me on time, and they pay me well. I mean, that's the bottom line. They're A clients, and I've got A minus and A plus and A clients, and I like working for them. And I will not take work from B clients in order to satisfy the needs of my A clients. Now, you can guess what a B client is. A B client, maybe they don't pay as quickly. Maybe they don't pay as much. Maybe they don't. Maybe they pay as much and they pay quickly, but they ask a little too much. Maybe the revision rate is a little too high for me, for my taste. Maybe they don't give me the flexibilities that I want, and maybe they won't let me send my trainee out to do an inspection. There's a lot of different things that would put you in that B category, but they're still clients I'm going to work for. They're still clients that are worth my while. Yes, they're a pain in the neck. Yes, I have to deal with some crap when it comes to them, and yes, I'm going to put them second rank when it comes to, I got 2 orders on the table, and one comes from an A client, and one comes from a B client. Guess what time and attention I'm going to put first? And then there's the Y clients. The Y clients, I tongue-in-cheek say, why the hell am I working for you? Which basically means I don't work for you. There's no such thing in our office as a C client. When you get to the level of about B minus, I've got my eye on you. And when you slip down below B minus, guess what, folks? Bye-bye. You're gone. right? I've got too many other things to do than to deal with C clients. And when I say clients, folks, that can be direct lending, that can be private work, that can be a number of different things. And yes, it can include and does include AMCs. And guess what, folks? In my office, we have a list. Yes, we have a list. We have a list and we keep track. And when an order comes in from a Y client, somebody that we have fired, we look on that list and go, wait a minute, we haven't heard of this company. Oh, wait, yeah, we did work for them about a year and a half. Nope, I don't think so. Let me deviate and get in the weeds for just a second and show you how this works. About a year and a half ago, we heard word from the grapevine, actually from the blogosphere, if you will, the social media out there, that there was a certain company that was not paying its people. Now, this was probably a B plus client at the time. This was an AMC. These were people that I've worked with. They, weren't the best, but they weren't bad. I remember their fees being decent, but they were a little bit of a pain in the neck to work with. And so I did some considering, some thinking. I thunked some things, and we, as a company, decided, okay, well, if they're not going to pay their clients, first of all, have we been paid? And we looked, and I don't remember the outcome. We either were all paid up or there was one out there. I don't know. But we quickly got paid on maybe the one outstanding. And they quickly moved from a B plus to, a B minus just because of the word on the street. And I instructed my office manager. I said, listen, if an order comes in from this particular client, I want payment up front. And she said, what? It's an AMC. And I said, I know. If they really want something done, they'll do it. She's like, well, they won't do it, but okay. She was skeptical, and I don't blame her. But guess what? We had an order come in within a couple of days from this company. She picked up the phone, professionally called them and said, listen, we've been hearing some rumblings, we've been hearing some rumors, and Dustin has said, he wants to keep working for you. However, we can only do this appraisal if we receive payment up front. And of course, they kicked back a little bit, but she was serious. And, we've got a little bit of a luxury here in Idaho. There's not a ton of appraisers to choose from. And we happen to be their preferred appraiser. And they did it. And they did it, folks. They not only paid me, but they FedExed me the check. It was there the next day. I received the check. I deposited it first. I usually don't do deposits except every couple of weeks, but I went that day to the bank to make sure it would clear. I deposited the check, and then we accepted the order, and we did it. And by the way, we did that for about 6 months. At that point, the rumors had kind of dissipated. They were good with their money. We decided to move back to the status of B plus and accept payment, within 30 days of doing the appraisal. But this is just one example, again, not to get off in the weeds, but one example of how we negotiate, if you will, with our clients, how we determine, what makes an A client, what makes a B client, and what turns them from that to a Y client where we're getting rid of them and not doing work for them anymore. I think it's important for every business owner to consider that. I hear a lot of rumblings and complainings on the blogosphere, on the social media about these horrible, awful AMCs, and I think to myself, well, then don't work for them. Well, Dustin, you can't avoid it. You got to work. Okay, fine. I work for AMCs too, but I'm very, very circumspect. I'm very, very careful about the AMCs that I work for. I believe, personally, that you are not going to have as difficult of a time working for particular clients, and AMCs included, if you are particular about who you work for. There are some crappy AMCs out there. And I think a majority of the complaining out there is because business owners don't take the time to sift and to filter and to keep track. And they keep working for these crappy AMCs, and that's what sticks in their mind. And so when they think of AMCs, they think all AMCs fit into that realm. I don't believe that's true. Now, what about this rumor that Dustin is a shill for the AMC? Okay, whatever. I'm not getting paid by AMCs, folks. You could say that because a la mode is owned by CoreLogic and CoreLogic has its own ordering system. Okay, I guess I work for the man, right? I guess I get paid. I've been accused of getting paid on the side to say nice things about AMCs. Well, if any of you have listened to me for any amount of time, you know that that's just complete BS. I am as critical as AMCs as anybody else. The difference between me and I think a lot of other appraisers is that I keep track of which AMCs are good and which ones I'm not going to work for anymore. And I would highly recommend that you do so. I want to talk today, though, about the purpose of AMCs, right? And let me set it up this way, and then we're going to go to a break, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about this issue. This morning, I got on social media. I know, stupid thing to do, right? By the way, side note, don't get on social media first thing in the morning. I've learned over the years to do what I call prime time, which is the first thing I do when I wake up is meditate and go through this process of preparing my mind and my body for the day. It's a whole process. It's something I talk about in the Go Create Some Value workshop. We go through a whole session is just on prime time. And I honestly don't touch my phone. Usually there are situations where this is not the case, but I would say 9 out of 10 mornings, I don't touch the phone Now, I go to my phone for things like a meditation app and that kind of thing, but I don't open my email. I do not get notifications when it comes to Facebook and other things. I've turned those all off. And I don't open up that stuff until about an hour after I wake up. I know, side note, Dustin, stay on track. I just tell you that because, anyway, just maybe some good advice for you. But this morning, after my prime time, I did go to my social media, and there was some talk about a particular AMC. Or maybe it was AMCs in general. No, it was a particular AMC, but it got off the rails very quickly with the comments. I think somebody had asked a question about a particular AMC and a struggle that they're having, and people were trying to be helpful. Hey, I've had that problem too, but try this and blah, blah, blah. Then, of course, it devolved into, bashing all AMCs. And one individual jumped on there, and bless her heart, she said, we really just need to get rid of AMCs completely. What we need to do as appraisers is we need to form our own AMC. We need to get together and we need to find all the crappy things about AMCs and we need to beat them. Now listen, and when I say more power to her, great. If you can get a coalition of appraisers together and create a wonderful ordering system, the problem was her comment then went to, do I dare say, and I mean this in the sweetest and loving way as I can, into ignorance over what an AMC is, because her comments were basically, listen, what we need to do is get together and we just need to have a seamless process with no revisions and no this and no that and all this, and I'm thinking, that's not an AMC. That's an ordering portal. Folks, there is a big, big difference, and I want to talk about that when we get back from the break. But first, I want to pause here. I know I mentioned a la mode earlier. Folks, there's a reason I use a la mode. I've done it from the very beginning. And I know some of you are going to say, well, of course you still use the same software that you've used from the beginning. Well, folks, I have used the other software. I used to run a company where we had to use other software. And I've used them. I'm not going to throw the names out there. They're good software, right? There's a lot of great form-filling software out there. There's a reason that I stick with a la mode, and it's not just because it's what I know. It's because of the tools that are built into the system. The wonderful tools like Smart Adjust, the wonderful tools like the Quick List, the wonderful tools like separating the addendum from the grid so that I can work on two things at once. The wonderful tools like mobile. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. Worksheet. I've been dealing with a worksheet lately. Holy cow, what a cool tool. Alamode.com, ALAMODE, or 800 Alamode. If you want to save about 30 minutes per report, I'm just going to go on the conservative time. I do say 30 to 60. In our office, it's about 40 minutes, give or take. 40 minutes to put in all of the data that we... Now, again, Data Master is not going to find the comps for you, okay? There's a misconception out there, well, I can't turn comp selection over to a computer. Well, nor should you, folks. Trust me. Once you find those comps, though, what about hitting a button and it's immediately imported into your report? What if it could import your parcel number, your legal description, the owner name, the previous transfers, the data on the MC sheet on the top of page 2, that grid up there? Holy cow, folks, talk about saving time. One click of a button, a few seconds later, all of that stuff is populated without human error, without fat fingering something. Datamaster USA or datamasterusa.com. Finally, we're sponsored by Working RE. Just this yesterday morning, I received an email, a great article. I ended up sharing it on my social media page from Working RE, and the article was amazing, folks. It's right on the edge of the changes in our industry. Folks, that's what Working RE does. They're constantly searching for the next story. They're constantly searching for the data and the information that you need to move forward. WorkingRE.com. Again, it's WorkingRE.com. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. We are talking today a little bit about AMCs, okay? If you want to call me a shill for the AMC, that's whatever, okay? Whatever. I'm not getting paid by AMCs to say what I say, right? But I think it's important to inform audiences. I have the same issues that you have with AMCs, right? If you heard me complain to my office manager about this, that, and the other, you would know that I'm just as frustrated sometimes as you are. But if I'm constantly finding myself frustrated at a particular client, guess what? Bye-bye, client. I don't have time nor the energy to deal with you. It's really easy, right? I've got 4 children, folks. I get angry and upset at one particular child. I can't just throw them out on the street and say, screw it, I'm done dealing with you, right? They're my kid. AMCs, you don't have the same luxury. You don't eat at my table, right? My wife did not birth you. You're gone. If I have to deal with crap from you and your little 2-year-old tantrums, I'm not going to deal with it very long. I'm going to divorce you. We're going to move on, right? But when it comes to AMCs, I think, unfortunately, there's a little bit of ignorance out there. And I'm using this post, and I'm being very careful. I'm not telling you specifically where it came from. I may not be using the right gender. I'm trying to protect the identity of this person, and I might be getting a little bit of the post wrong, but the gist of it I'm getting accurate, and I'm purposely tweaking a few things here. But the gist of it is let's get rid of AMCs. They have no purpose. And then this individual went on to describe how they would create the perfect AMC, and frankly, folks, they just explained a portal. An ordering portal that the bank would go to them and they would order the appraisal and it would go through this portal and you would deliver it and there would be no revisions and there would be no kickback and there would be no computer programs to upload through and rules to follow and blah 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 and engagement letters, and the person went on about how they would create the perfect AMC. And folks, the reason I want to spend a little bit of time here talking about what an AMC is, first of all, I'm not an expert on AMCs and I am more than willing to accept education and instruction. Please comment below. I don't encourage comments a lot because I frankly forget about it. But when this podcast posts, there is a way you just have to click on it on my website and you can leave a comment. If I'm wrong in what I'm about to say, please inform me. Please educate me. But I don't think I am. And I'm going to stay pretty surface here. We're not going to get into some great details, but I want to take an opportunity to maybe explain a little bit of the difference between a portal, okay, something like Appraisal Port, something like Mercury Network, something like the new portal through ANOW software for UWM. There's a lot of different portals out there, right? And they're not AMCs. They're not the same thing. Folks, an AMC is a middleman, yes, but most appraisers think that AMC, all they're doing is delivering the report, that they're being the middleman, that they're taking money out of the pocket of appraisers. But you've got to understand, and by the way, I am all for separating that fee on the HUD one. I'm all for the efforts out there to be very clear and transparent that when a borrower pays $800 for an appraisal, that they understand that $250 of that went to the AMC. I'm all for that. However, I think it's important to understand the role and what the purpose of an AMC is, and maybe it will tone down a little bit of the anger that we have toward them. And I'm going to set it up this way. Folks, we have a plethora in the lending industry, in the banking industry, and I know it's corrupt, and I know there's way too much of this, but we have regulations. When I say we, I mean the public, I mean private banks, I mean people that lend money in the United States of America have to follow certain regulations. And some of those regulations have to do with the mortgage industry and specifically with the appraisal industry. And there's certain things that banks have to do. And folks, frankly, a lot of these local small banks do not understand or do not want to deal in the regulation side. When they hire an AMC, yes, it very much may be because they don't want to go through the process of finding an appraiser. That it's easier to call up the AMC and say, hey, I need an appraisal done on 123 Any Street, get me one. But the bigger side of this, and by the way, I've had conversations with individuals at local banks. I've had conversations in the past, not recently, but in the past, specifically after 2008, where I had direct lending relationships with several local banks who then went and moved over to the AMC model. And I went into their office and I wanted them to understand that these new regulations, this HVCC thing, and later Dodd-Frank, did not require them to use an AMC. That's another myth out there. You talk to some appraisers and they think that lenders are required to use AMCs now after HVCC. No, they're not. But they are required to meet certain expectations. And when I talked to the chief loan officers at these banks, the ones that I had direct lending relationships with, a lot of them would say, well, Dustin, yeah, we know that. We know we don't have to use an AMC, but frankly, we don't have the in-house capacity to meet all of these new regulations. It's easier and yay cheaper for us to outsource that to someone else. Folks, I'm going to use an analogy with you. I can do my own taxes. I am not required to have an accountant or a CPA do my taxes, but I choose to use an accountant and a CPA to do my taxes. Why? Because they understand things that I don't. Next year, I could do my own taxes if I wish to do so. I could sit down for a couple of days and go through all the numbers and try to follow the regulations, or I might use a TurboTax software or what have you. But I'm telling you folks that it's not worth it for Dustin Harris to do that. I don't know enough. Therefore, outsourcing that to a CPA becomes beneficial to me. And I want you to look at that analogy similar to what a lot of banks do. They are not looking for a portal. Folks, here's where I need some education from some of you and some instruction. If I am wrong in what I'm about to say, then help me. But banks that use things like Appraisal Port and Mercury Network and the ANOW portal are not looking for an AMC. They are looking for a way to find an appraiser and deliver an appraisal report. That's what they're looking for. And that's what they're paying for. And that's why it's $15 rather than the hundreds of dollars that they're going to spend at an AMC. A bank that goes to an AMC is looking for more. A bank that is looking to go to an AMC is looking for that regulation, that secondary level of underwriting. And folks, when you get a revision from an AMC, please remember that 9 times out of 10, it has not gone to the client yet. They get a report, they look at it internally, they try to clean it up and cross the T's and dot the I's and go back to the appraiser and say, hey, you missed this, or hey, we would like to see this, or what do you think about doing this, before they send it to the client. Now, this is where you've heard me say nice things about AMCs, where you may have mistaken me for being a shill for the AMC, which I am not. But I'll tell you folks, it's kind of nice, and I will admit, I once turned in a report that did not even have a value on it. Okay? Did not even have a value on the report. But thankfully, the AMC caught it and said, revision request number 3, please provide a value. Oops. I was very grateful and thankful, and it's happened more than once, not this particular thing, but it's happened more than once, that the revision came back to me before it went to the client, and I went, whew, that would have been bad if that had gone on to the client. If I had dealt with a bank directly, or if I'd gone through Mercury or Appraisal Port or some other ordering system, it would have gone directly to the client. And I would have looked really stupid. In other words, there are times that AMCs really save the ass of the appraiser. Yes, I said it. There are times when my butt has been saved because the AMC was doing their job. Now, again, I'm not a huge fan of AMCs. I find that it's much easier to work directly with lenders, and I appreciate my direct lending clients very much. But folks, there's some great AMCs out there, and I think appraisers, we just need to understand why it is that banks use AMCs. There are some banks that don't want to or don't have the funds to have in-house underwriters that understand the regulations of the mortgage industry completely, and they would rather outsource that, just like you and I outsource our taxes to our accountant or CPA. There's a reason that we do so. I hope that helps. Hey, folks, I referenced the Go Create Some Value workshop earlier. It is still on sale. It is still a hit. It is still a great foundation for what I teach. It is on my website, theappraisercoach.com/products.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
I've done some work for some really crappy AMCs out there. Well, guess what? I treat them like any other client in my database. And you've heard me talk on this, I guess my phone's going to go off. Sorry, editor. Turn off the ringer, Dustin.